Welcome to the Spy Collection. It's Anastasios and it's been a while since our last review of one of the 2023 Pentagon leaked documents. So today we look into one that gave us unique insights into Russian online disinformation capabilities, also known as covert influence operations, or simply information operations or I.O. We have a playlist of the dozens of documents from this leak we've reviewed so far, and left a link to it in the video's description. Today we look at this document, but for the sake of this video we reconstructed it. Russia, refining information operations capabilities via social media manipulation tool. Based on the markings that was a result of a collaboration between the US Cyber Command and the US European Command for the Joint Chief of Staff. And looking at the classification markings, the US did not intend to share this intelligence with any other nation, and to produce this, they also relied on FISA. For the latter, it was almost certainly to obtain information from US big tech companies like Google, Meta, and Microsoft for data such as the accounts that Russian intel services used for those covert influence operations. In late 2022, Russia's main scientific research computing center planned to improve Fabrika, a network of hundreds of thousands of social media bots emulating users to evade detection and manipulate the information environment. The efforts likely will enhance Moscow's ability to control its domestic information environment and promote pro-Russian narratives abroad. If you've been following our Spy News newsletter, you probably recall several takedowns of such social media accounts used by Russia for information operations, so that by itself isn't unexpected. Actually, most nation-states nowadays have similar capabilities. It's interesting to note, though, that its code name in the Russian spy world was Fabrika, which in English translates to factory. Next we read, the Russian presidential administration, or another GlavNIVTs client within Russia's government, identifies online content or audience for manipulation. GlavNIVTs and clients determine the platform, likely prioritizing Telegram, followed by Western platforms and TikTok for external audiences. We assume that this was based on the operations that the US managed to attribute to Fabrika from the analysis on the social media accounts. Content aligns with strategic priorities, including building domestic support and suppressing dissent, demoralizing Ukraine, and exploiting divisions in the West. All of them are classic domains of covert influence operations for decades now, or using the Soviet definition, active measures, so nothing really unexpected here. But the most interesting part was this, the process of using Fabrika's network to conduct information operations. For passive manipulation, GlavNIVTs uses Fabrika's arrays of bot accounts to promote or demote content on specified platforms and search engines, including US persons' Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. Bots view, like, subscribe, and repost content and manipulate view counts to move content up in search results and recommendation lists. GlavNIVTs reports that bots on most platforms are detected less than 1% of the time. And that, let's call it covert SEO, was used so that the target audiences see promoted content on search engines or social media without knowing that bots had manipulated the algorithms into altering the results. And apparently the other method is the active one, where GlavNIVTs sends pro-Russia messaging directly to target audiences' email or social media accounts, possibly using Fabrika-associated infrastructure. GlavNIVTs draws user contact information from large databases that it has compiled from the open and dark webs. And this is done so that the target audience is directly exposed to Russian messaging on phones and receives messages and links to content on social media from GlavNIVTs' mobile infrastructure and bot accounts. And that was our today's artifact. Of course, the introduction of generative AI technologies has significantly expanded the capabilities of platforms like Russia's Fabrika for online covert influence operations. But there is something else that was omitted here. How those millions of fake accounts are created. Fabrika is indeed the management platform for them, but there is another part in this story. In 2023, I, Anastasios, did some research on this specific topic, so stay tuned this weekend for our next Tradecraft Sunday episode, that will provide a deep dive in this topic. Until then, remember that although we know the code name and secret function of Fabrika for Russia's online covert influence operations, most nation-state actors out there operate similar capabilities for their own purposes. So anytime you come across any online content that tries to produce an emotional reaction, has obvious biases, promotes a particular political agenda and so on, be extremely cautious, because in today's world, nothing is as it seems.